place the generator in here, and we can see we've got a slot in where we can put a mesh. So we'll do like a bit of a test in here, right? We'll just take the goblet as an example and drop it in there. So that's the goblet being added into, and now we have, this is the spacing that's automatically being generated from the actual bounding box of the goblet. So that's an automatic figure. Now we can put, I don't know, maybe a 10 as a sort of a sequence. So now what we want to do is make sure you press the G on the keyboard until you see this sort of spline. And now you're able to move this spline in a direction, and we should be able to start generating some extra goblets if everything was okay. So let me just see. Because right now it's not actually generating any extra goblets. So let's see. An offset of 1. And it's not generating it, but let me just check what could be wrong with the blueprint. So it seems when I did the connections, I actually forgot about something over here. We just need to make sure that we're actually getting this return value from here and put in the location, because right now I was spawning instances and they were all spawning on top of each other. So now we compile and look at that. Wow, that's a lot. Right, okay, so if we select this point and we drag it in, you can see that the number of instances is going down. We can also go this other way around if you want to generate them this way, right? So we're now generating a goblet every 1 point. So we could put that to 5, for example, or to 50, and that will then make the goblets go, take a bigger distance between. But we're not here for the goblet, we're here for something else. So we're just going to remove that mesh. And now we're going to have a look, because in the other sort of folder in here, the one that I migrated everything, I do actually have other meshes that we could use, but it's really the mega scans where we need to get our stuff from. So because we're trying to do the columns first, this is where the decorative pillar is going to come into effect. And this is the pillar right here. Because we got the mega scans, everything is already preset for it. So we've got the material applied and everything. So now I've got the mesh selected, and I can now press this button to add the mesh. And you can see that it's going in that direction, but I want it to go in this direction, like that. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to reset the position of the blueprint, so it goes over here. And now we can sort of bring it, sorry, not like that. We're going to select the actual mesh, and then we can move this over into this position. Obviously, we need this to be bigger. So we're going to set this to maybe, so let's see, a 2. Let's see what a 2 looks like. 2 is probably a bit too big. 1.7 or 1.6. Yeah, 1.6 seems to be fine. And now we're going to position so that we've got the first pillar in the position of where that cube is, like that, you see? And now we got to play around with the spacing. So if we do like a 60, no, 80, no, 90, that's not going to be okay. 120 seems to be about right. Let me just bring this a bit further like that. Obviously, our cubes are not aligned to this because we never really spec'd it out. Oh, sorry. I think I've done a bit... something a bit back there. 130, still not enough. Maybe 135. Yeah, 135 looks about right. And now we can select the spline again. And then once we go this other way, like that, we'll be able to add our columns. And now we have all of our columns in place, and they're pretty much taking the place of those blocks that we've added in the previous portion of this. We can obviously turn this down to 130 if we wanted to, in order for them to align a bit better, but it's really up to you. But now you can understand that we can create this multiple times for many, many iterations if we would want to. So at this point, we can actually select all these blocks from here, and we could delete them if we want to. I'm not going to delete them. Instead, I'm just going to push them out of the way like that, and we can use them at a later stage. Now, with this selected, we can Alt left click and drag and bring them over onto this side as well. Okay, so now we have them on both sides, and we can take these other blocking meshes from here, take them away, and you can see now we've got columns in the scene. That was quite neat, wasn't it? Because we've now added this with a sort of a procedural method. What was really the point of me showing you this? Well, it's in level design. A lot of stuff, more advanced stuff are done in this particular way to save time, to save resources, and so on. Once you get the hang of it, you'll use this all the time, and you'll definitely save a lot of time with it. The initial setup might take a bit longer, but then you have blueprints that you can import and export in various different other projects to use. Okay. Okay, so now we can have a look at the next sort of stage of what we want to set up. So because we've got the columns, those were like probably one of those assets that took a lot of, are covering a lot of ground. And now we can have a look at the floor itself, or if we want to change these two assets here at the back. Now this light, we're going to deal with lighting later on. I'm just going to bring a second light over here so we can see what we're doing. So we want to drop two meshes here, and I do have some other columns inside. So there's the Roman stone floor, no. Northern building, ground floor. Let's have a look at what this particularly is. Generally, the thumbnails of these should load, but let's just drag and drop. So that's one thing to add. Or we could have this other one, which is a complete pillar. So if we bring this one, this is obviously a very tall pillar, bring it over into here like that, we could try and sort of eyeball where this would come in. Make it a bit bigger, so maybe like a 1.5. That seems to be okay. And you can see it's sort of sitting on the ground anyway, something like that. And then we can take this cube. For this particular case, we can actually delete it. And then we can bring this over into here. Actually, before deleting that cube, would be more useful to see that as a sort of a reference, just so we can sort of try and eyeball that context. Yeah, something like that. Okay, so we've got these two pillars, which are sort of in the same shape, in the same form, so that's okay. So we've got that as well now. And we can then have a look at the walls. How do we want to add some walls that are going to be pretty much looking kind of like the rest of the set that we've got in here. So we do have a wall into this where I think there was that's the floor. Then we've got a decorative pillar right there. Castle wall. Yeah, that's the one. So this is how this castle wall looks like. This is what we've got. So we can use the same sort of system, which is with these pillars. So I'm going to duplicate this and bring it over here for now. And now I can change the mesh to this castle wall. So I'm doing that, and you can see I've got it there. Now it is a bit of a gap in here. So we can actually reduce the gap by going to like 115. 115 seems to be the right number here. So now we can bring this over like that in here. And now what we want to do is ensure that we select the spline. So just press G to see the spline, select over here, and then drag it so you can increase the spline size. With that done, that's about how big the wall needs to be. We'll select it, and now we can duplicate it above, duplicate it again and again, and maybe do this about another time. Now we can push that wall away. There is a bit of repetition here that's quite, probably visible. And this is where things like decals can be added, or, use these columns to break the line of sight for the repetition of the wall. Now with that done on that side, we can obviously bring that to this side as well. So again, left click, drag, so we can duplicate, put it into the wall, select the wall that we did, and push it to one side. And we can now select all of these and do the same thing for the back wall. Duplicate, rotate to 90 degrees, and then push it in there so that it sort of covers that wall. And we can take that wall itself and push it out of the way. And now you can see we've got quite a nice looking sort of scenario. We're going to use these lights, bring them up here, position them in such a way that we can get a bit of moodiness into it, so to speak. So what I'm trying to do here is just set up the scene in such a way that we get closer to a sort of a final point without using a directional light. And I try to stay away from directional lights whenever I'm doing interior scenes, because these already help with setting up the mood that we want and the look and feel. Now that we've got the walls done on each side and we've got the columns, now it's time to look at the floor. And we do have a floor that we could use. I am going to use again the same sort of generator, make sure that's in the center of the world. And now we can, this is the floor that I'm going to use, a cobblestone, and I'm going to press this button to add it in here. But what you're noticing is that this is rotated this way and we need it to go that way. And also, you know, one thing that you can do is just select the instance mesh in here and, you know, rotate this maybe to like 90. And you can see it's now going that way instead of going that way, even though it's facing the right location. So we need to sort of change this. And by the way, even for the walls, if they're not aligning, you can always select the instance mesh and just change this. I had it to 180, and I think I forgot to show that in the tutorial. But yeah, it's, you know, 180. I've set it for them to go that way. But in this particular case, for the floors, it doesn't actually work as intended. So we're going to have to fix that.